All right, so welcome back. I am Israel Solomon. I'm a visual artist located in Indianapolis, Indiana, and today I am working on several paintings for a solo show that I have coming up in the very near future titled Oasis. When I'm working on a solo show, I like to squeeze in as much work as possible up until the end date. Um, I get a lot of ideas all at once and I want to get them out. And I scurry to get as many ideas out as possible, even though I'm often pretty well along and have enough work to present 1 to 2 months before the show is even scheduled. But that's just how my brain works. You know, all of our brains work differently. Um, we all approach things differently. That's how I like to approach things. So, right now, believe it or not, I probably have about 10 paintings that I'm working on in a variety of sizes. The one that I'm working on right now in front of you is diamond orientation, but it's 48 by 48 canvas. And I've got two of those that I'm working on. There's one that's sort of behind me that you won't see in this video that I'm working on. And then I have all these little pieces that I'm working on that's on a table that's to the right of me. And I think there might be 7 or 8 of those. And in addition, that painting in the bottom right corner, I have a few things that I want to do to it as well. The one on the left that you can see the back of, I'm working on. So actually, I probably have far more than 10 that I'm working on right now. And so a gentleman that I work with named Kevin, who does the majority of my framing for me, we collaborate on a lot of really cool ideas. And it just so happens that he was able to fit into his schedule a really cool idea that I had in mind that I really can't wait to show everybody when this show opens up. But the thing about that is, those paintings are not started yet either because he has to bring me the boards over that the paintings are going to be on. So I guess if I really think about it, I probably have about 20 paintings going right now. And the way that I am approaching it is instead of just hurrying or scurrying to finish one, then finish the other, and finish the other, I'm building them all in layers. And I will just work on to them up until probably a week before the show or 5 days before the show, which will give them enough time to dry to where I can present them. Instead of saying, oh, I have to finish this one now, I have to finish that one now and get it out of the way, I decided to say, hey, I'm just going to keep tinkering and working on these things until I can't work on them anymore and I need to go ahead and stop. And I think that what that's allowing me to do is to develop work that, you know, really looks cohesive. And it allows me to tell that story that I'm trying to tell, which is one of going inside of my mind and, you know, peering into my imagination. The work that I'm creating right now is somewhat surreal, and I'm enjoying doing that. I've showed some earlier progress in the painting that I'm working on here right now in a previous video. I've gotten a little bit further on it, and basically what's going on is I have a very vivid imagination, like a lot of us do. I think most people have very vivid imaginations, but you know, for some of us, it's a little bit easier to maybe try to interpret those imaginations that we have than others. And for me, I'm just one of those people who is lucky or blessed enough to be able to interpret the things that I see in my mind. So I remember as a kid driving on family trips, long road trips to St. Louis, North Carolina, and staring out of the window of the car in the back and just imagining things. And I can recall imagining these glass pyramids that would be sitting on the landscapes, and a vibrant light source that's peering down onto the pyramid and providing some source of energy to the world, or to the land, or even something underneath the pyramid. So that's sort of what I'm trying to convey here in this particular painting. And I wanted to have a variety of layers and a variety of ideas and thoughts. So, I have the pyramid, which can symbolize many things. I think it can symbolize intelligence and intellect and humanity, because thinking about the pyramids that we see all over the world, we still don't even really know how they were built, and they're, thousands, hundreds and thousands of years old. If you look closely, this painting has a semblance also of the yin yang symbol, sort of splitting the sky in half, which means balance, according to my understanding. The light source is basically that dot that's above in the painting. But then if you look off to the left, you can see that I have this pink shape and a circle there. And what that's going to be is that's going to be a window. So now I'm asking myself, okay, I have the pyramid, I have the sky, I have the sun, but now I have a window where all of this is enclosed in. So, these are just thoughts that I'm having of, multiple worlds, multiple universes, multiple dimensions, and, not answering any questions that I have about life or the universe, but just asking more questions. Like, why are we here? Where did we come from? What is our purpose? Do we have a purpose? What is the universe? Are there multiple dimensions? Are there dimensions out there that are right amongst us and we don't even know because they're in a higher plane or a more advanced plane than us? Maybe so. So these are sort of the thoughts that I'm having while I'm making this stuff, and I want to get these thoughts out of my mind and into life, and share those with other individuals, and allow people to ask questions themselves. So that's basically what's going on right now. On the painting, I'm working on the shadows that are casting off of the pyramids. And these shadows are extremely playful, as you can see. And there's a lot of movement in those shadows, because not only do I want this to feel surreal, but I also want it to feel almost like an abstract painting as well, where at first glance you might not even know what you're looking at. Like if you're looking at a Cubist painting, you look at it and at first you're like, what is this? This is just a lot of marks and a lot of lines. But then you start looking closer and you might start seeing body parts, and you might notice that, you see different different sides of the body that's being represented and things of that nature. So I'm really just exploring, I think work should be completed in an exploratory process when you're creating. I think it's important to open up your mind to learning while you're creating, and putting yourself in uncomfortable spaces. For instance, if you're a visual artist and you start gaining some notoriety, you start becoming known for a particular thing, and that's great. But someone like myself doesn't always want to be stuck in a box. And, you got to think about getting outside of that box and challenging yourself. And, that's what I like to do with my work. And with that, there's a lot of trial and error involved. Trying something new may stick, it may not stick. It might work, it might not work. You just don't know until you put it out there and you see individuals and how they react to the work. I've noticed a lot that, when I'm presenting my work, when I have my own show, when I'm a part of a show, when my work is being presented. I really like to kind of just sit back myself and just watch people and see how they interact with my work and try to get an understanding of, what their thoughts might be in regards to my work. And I, I think that's a good way to know where you are, because when you see people's reactions, it kind of tells you, well, maybe I did what I meant to do on this one, or maybe this one just didn't work out. Maybe the one that I put all the effort and energy into, people just walked right by it, and it wasn't really, impactful. But maybe that one that's over there in the corner that I don't really like, a lot of times that's the one that people can gravitate to. So you have to be open to that. You can't choose what anyone else would like or be intrigued or moved by. That's up to them. And that's another one of the beautiful things about art and creating art. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm adding red into that blue, just a layer of mist or fog that's back there in that background. And because I'm layering, that color that's underneath that red that I just put on is breathing through, and it creates a very deep purple. So I love layering colors. Everyone doesn't layer, but that's one of the approaches that I really enjoy, like putting down thin layers. And what I'm going to end up doing is taking the color that I'm utilizing on this canvas, and I'm going to use the rest of the color that I mixed up, and I'm going to put it onto another canvas, which is going back to me working on multiple things at once, as opposed to just working on one thing at a time. When you're working on multiple things at once, what I like to do is whatever color I mix up, I like to put that on all of the canvases, in the spaces where they can go. And again, that creates cohesion and fusion in your work, and everything's begins to have a familiar theme and a familiar feeling. So just further developing the pyramid, breaking the space up, creating those fractures. I'm thinking about how the glass pyramid is being affected by the light that's casting down on it. That's what I'm doing right now at this moment. Really trying to take my time and make smooth color transitions. My work is not super heavy with brushstrokes. I smooth things out, and sometimes I allow brushstrokes to kind of just live there or lay there when I feel that it's right. But for the most part, my work isn't as brushstroke heavy as some other oil painters. Let's say like a Vincent van Gogh, like somebody who just lays down chunks of paint and lets it sit on canvas. My approach is not like that at all. So as you can see, that other canvas that I had that was behind me, I started working on that as well. I utilized the color that I had left, and I am putting it into spaces where that color belongs onto this other piece that I'm working on. This piece is actually based on the kitchen that I grew up in, and really the fellowship that we had when I was younger in that kitchen. We had these weird green colored walls, and I can remember the yellow and the green sort of just popping out at night when the lights were cut on and it was dark outside. So I wanted to make those yellow or green tones, thinking about the walls of the kitchen in the house that I grew up in. And I can remember things that happened in the kitchen, at the kitchen table, um, like memories of my sister making me laugh, my older sister, making up stories, acting like she was an old person and talking about stories that she experienced when she was young. And I'm thinking about all of those things, and I'm trying to put that and create a mood and an atmosphere in the work. And I think that the colors that I'm using are helping me create that mood. Now, as you can see, I've still got some paint left in that same color. So I've moved on to my table that has 7 or 8 small images that I'm working on. And again, I am putting those colors in the spaces where they belong on those paintings. One of the questions that I get asked, I'm going to leave that for the next one. Thank you for coming in and watching, and have a great one.